Hi, this is James Rieger, co-chair of Tandem Halpern's Cannabis Industry Practice Group, and we're here with another one of our video series called The Cannabis Insider. Today we're talking about one specific type of cannabis license in New York. If you recall, in March, the end of March, New York's legislature and the governor passed and signed into law the Marijuana Regulation and Tax Act, MRTA. MRTA set forth a framework under which 9 types of licenses can be applied for with respect to adult use cannabis in New York. We've spoken in depth about the 9 types of licenses before. We're going to today talk about one of the more interesting ones, which is on-site consumption licenses. You can think of that as a cannabis consumption lounge. It's almost akin to a bar. This was not originally part of the governor's plan for adult use cannabis in New York, but the legislature wanted to level the playing field and make sure that cannabis was available essentially to all consumers in New York and that there was no discrimination. New York does allow smoking or use of cannabis anywhere where smoking of tobacco is used, so that's not what really the legislature was after here. The reasoning is that many people in New York and cities where I live, such as New York City, have large housing projects which at one time received federal grants or federal funding. As they receive federal funding, there's a strict prohibition on the use of cannabis in those housing projects. And the thought was those people needed to go to somewhere safe and regulated where they could use cannabis, which was indoors, since they couldn't do it theoretically even in their own apartment. These are fairly novel licenses. There's a few states that have them today: California, Colorado, and Michigan. Illinois is implementing a cannabis consumption license type, which is a bring your own, where retail sales will not be permitted. Alaska has it on the books, but has been stymied by COVID in implementing it. So New York, New Jersey, and Nevada are currently either implementing or writing rules and regulations around it. The thought is, in a place like Nevada, where I just came from a large industry conference, even though there are dispensaries right off the Las Vegas Strip, and on the Strip, all the large hotels in Las Vegas say that the use of THC products within their private 4 corners of their resort are strictly prohibited. So again, if you can buy it there, but you can't use it safely anywhere, the thought was have a cannabis consumption lounge where it could be consumed and used. Alcohol will not be for sale in New York at a cannabis consumption lounge. The powers that be in Albany have always thought that alcohol and cannabis don't mix. A couple other interesting things about cannabis consumption licenses: they are the only type of the 9 licenses in New York where the applicant needs to have locked up their real estate before they apply for the license. In other words, they need to either own real estate or have a legally binding contract for a license of real estate at which the cannabis consumption lounge will be situated. One thing for applicants to keep in mind is that you need to check with your municipality with respect to opt-out. So the New York bill was written that municipalities could opt out of 2 types of licenses if they did so by December 31st, 2021. Retail dispensaries and cannabis consumption licenses. In addition, localities also have the ability to regulate what's called time, place, and manner. So they can say that a cannabis consumption lounge can only be open between the hours of 10 a.m. and midnight, or not later than 2 a.m., or whatever they think that's reasonable in that regard. And they can also have rules and regulations saying that a cannabis consumption lounge cannot be located too close to another one, too close to a bar, too close to a school or a place of worship, or what have you. So these are very interesting licenses in New York, and hopefully we'll see a lot of traction as the rules get written and a lot of applicants who are excited to be in this space. We hope that was helpful. James Rieger, Tandem Halpern, thsh.com. Thank you.